Hello and welcome, Sania, to the Success Story series. Please introduce yourself.
So I'm Sania Fatimi, based out of Hyderabad, Telangana, working as a software engineer in an IT industry, and I have currently 5+ years of experience in IT industry. I did try Ielts to see if it works out for me and if I can apply for Canada.
All right. So, was this your first attempt?
Yes, this was my first attempt, and it was my ambition to crack it in the first attempt itself.
And what were
Basically,
your
being two
scores?
reasons. Well, I'm overwhelmed with my scores, the overall being 8, and going module wise, the listening I scored 9, reading 8.5, and speaking and writing there were 7.
Perfect. Perfect. So, it's a perfect 9 in listening. So, we'll start with the strategies that you utilized to prepare for listening. So, please go ahead.
So actually coming to listening, like it was the first module that I searched in YouTube even before taking classes. I just wanted to see where do I stand. And when I took a few random YouTube tests, I realized that my listening was very bad. Like whatever I was doing, it was below 30 score, and I was quite scared that with this kind of attempt, I'm not going to get in IELTS deserved band. Then I practiced a bit, and coming to the classes helped me a lot in achieving the kind of score that I wanted, the tips and strategy that were given in the class. And especially the first thing that was shared was, when you lose answer to one question, do not get stuck at it, just move it on with the next one. Do not wait for the last one, because you're not going to hear the recording again, so you will just lose even the second one if you panic. So not panicking was one of the things that helped me score in IELTS, and not to leave anything blank even though you think that you might have missed it out. So these two things helped me a lot in listening.
Perfect. Perfect. So, from less than 30 to almost a perfect 40, which is like a perfect 9. So if she can do it, if she can achieve it with some amount of practice, I'm pretty sure everyone who's watching this video can do it. So do not get panicked or do not worry in the beginning itself. You're taking the very first test, you're not even familiar with the kind of questions or the format of the test, and you're taking it at home without any guidance. So please don't be harsh on yourself, don't judge yourself that okay, I'm not even scoring 30. Take your time, understand how the pattern of the test is, what is the format, what are the questions like, get yourself familiarized with it, and then decide whether it's good enough or not. So that's one good thing about you. So a perfect 40, I would say. It's probably 39 or 40. That's the reason you scored a 9 there. So good job. And the second thing that she mentioned was to not panic if you have missed out on certain questions, because that's not going to be repeated, and ultimately not leaving any questions unanswered because there's no negative marking. So make a calculated guess, and of course, to not leave it unattempted, because who knows, you might just get that answer right. So perfect strategy. Moving on to reading.
Coming to reading, well, my kind of reading strategy, when I evaluated myself, I was trying to apply the things that we did back in our school life when we had that paragraph reading and you have to answer the passage questions. So I tried to do this here, and what I observed was I was able to do it, but it was crossing the time limit of 60 minutes. To do the complete paper. So the strategies that were given in the class, that was really helpful. The one of them being the elimination method, and thinking that why this should be the answer and why this should not be the answer, like the questioning ourselves in that way and coming to a conclusion, okay, this could be the answer, was one of the things that helped me a lot. And I was able to do the paper within 60 minutes, and I got enough time to recheck my spellings and go through everything right quickly. And I was like quite happy, and I was sure that okay, this is the paper that I'm going to get 40. But I think maybe I have missed somewhere and so I got 8.5 in reading.
Which is
So
great as well. It's not a bad score. So 8.5 is also CLB 10. So even if you have scored a perfect 9, it's still not going to make a difference in your profile. So again, good job there. Moving on to the next part, writing. How did you prepare for that?
yeah, writing, this was the kind of thing I was quite afraid, because I wasn't sure. Like listening and reading, we know we have to just answer the fill up the blanks and questions kind of thing, but writing, The very first time when I thought of writing, there is essay writing, there is letter writing, I thought, okay, this might be something that I would just do normally, like back in college life or school life. Then one day what happened was when I first started preparing by myself. So in one of those YouTube classes, while I was preparing by myself, I heard about the webinar. So I thought, okay, just let me go and attend the webinar. When I attended the webinar, that was the time that I realized that, okay, this is what the examiner is looking for. And I was not at all aware of what all the things that they were looking for, like lexical resources, collocations, and linkers. I was not aware of all these things. And that webinar by Harit sir was quite helpful for me. That was the time when I decided that if I am paying 15,000 for IELTS, just let me take classes before attempting the exam, so that 15,000 don't go down the well. So the sir's class, it was quite very helpful, and it led me to a path on thinking, how can I structure a paragraph, what ideas can I come up with. So with practice and evaluations in class, where we got feedback saying that, okay, this is the place that you need to improve yourself a bit, that helped me.
Absolutely. So you need to get your basics sorted out, and the very basic foundation of the writing as well as the speaking module is that you need to be clear about the assessment criteria. What are the parameters that the examiner is looking at, and how are they evaluating your answers? If you're clear with that, you'll definitely work on the weaknesses, the areas that you're lacking behind it, and then improve eventually with practice, of course. So that's really important, and I'm glad you could understand it. You could understand the importance of the parameters through the webinar. So that's nice. Moving on to speaking.
Speaking, I was quite fine. The same day, the webinar that was going on writing, we also had speaking session on the same day. So it helped me to mold the thoughts. Like, we don't have much time to think over there. It's like they question you and we have to answer them with the second round giving hardly 1 minute to prepare. So we really have to have something on top of mind. So the tips that we got, that we need to speak, like understand the question correctly, what kind of tense they are using, is it present, past, or future, and answer accurately, and if possible try to elaborate by giving it some background or some future kind of thing, so that to help me. Not speaking on a something very normal thing becomes difficult when you hardly have anything to speak about, but giving it a background and elaborating it further, keeping the future perspective, and answering the W's, what, why, how, and that kind of things, they were really helpful, and these were the tips that I got during classes.
All right, great. And how did you like practice? Did you take a lot of speaking mock tests as well?
Well, not. I took actually two speaking mock tests because there was less time left for me when I joined the classes. And one thing that I did was I joined the 10:30 batch in night because I had to do the job, and I was quite occupied throughout the day. I took night classes almost 1.5 hours, and after that I did make a point to do the homeworks that were given during the day. It would take sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 1.5 hours, and submit it on time. So that actually helped me. There was everyday practice. I did not miss the practice.
Okay, yeah, that's really important. You need to practice, you need to take the feedback properly. I mean, understand it and not make the same errors again when you're submitting your next writing or you're taking your next speaking mock test. So that's something that's really essential. And you need to keep in mind that it's not just about practicing, it's also about the feedback and observing yourself, whether you're not making the same mistakes again. And if you're doing that, then of course you have to focus on the weak areas and try to work upon them. So anything else that you wish to add here?
Yes, I would like to tell that when I first time heard of IELTS and I heard about the modules that are there, listening, reading, writing, speaking, it was something to me like, okay, it's just English. We have been through English medium right from KG classes to graduation, so it should not be a tough thing to crack. But when I thought of just access my level, where do I stand? I downloaded few of the IELTS official apps and few mock tests here and there. Then I realized, even though it's just an English test, it is an international level for a reason. So they do access for some certain points. So one thing, the people when they hear that it's just exam in English, they are basically like, okay, you are from English medium, right? You can crack it just in a go. It's not a tough thing. You don't need preparation for it. But that's what people say, because you are from English medium. So that's, I would say, that is a kind of misconception, because if they are accessing at international level, they might have something that they are trying to access it. So we need to be prepared for that. And because there are most of the people who say it's just English, right? You don't need training for that. That's really not good thing to say. It's wrong. There is training and guidance required for everything, even if it is English that we are studying from last 18 years.
True. See, we are not teaching you English here. You already know English. We're just training you for the test, and you do require training. You just need some guidance. You need that direction, and you just have to follow it. So, when you're taking classes for IELTS, it's not like we are teaching you grammar or we're teaching you how to write or what to write, but we are just training you for the test, that these are the factors that the examiner is looking for. These are the different ways in which you can fulfill those factors, and that's pretty much about it. It's not a very difficult test. I would like to emphasize on that again. But then with proper strategies and guidance, you can make it through. You can score the desired band scores. And as Sania has done in her very first attempt. So wonderfully done, I would say, with all the hectic schedule that you have when it comes to your professional life. You still manage to, take the classes at night and then prepare for your assignments and complete them on time and take the feedback. So it shows that your hard work has given you the fruit that you wanted to get. So perfectly fine. Any piece of advice that you would like to share with the future aspirants?
Yes, one thing is that do access yourself where do you stand the very first time, and then keep watching whether there is any progress. If you're trying to do a self preparation, you need to really analyze. In listening and reading, you will be able to analyze if you are improving or not, but writing and speaking, you would not be able to do that. You need someone to let you know where do you lag behind. And it was in one of the interviews that I heard one of the interviewees saying that I started thinking in English, and believe me, when I try to think in English on an everyday basis, it was quite a tough thing, because thinking in mother tongue has been so much everyday common thing in life that thinking in English really became tough for me to do. And when I did that, I realized that okay, there are certain words which I have to like stress over, like what word do I need to use in this scenario. So thinking in English also helped me to form and structure my ideas.
Okay, if I'm not wrong, that's from Vijender's interview, I guess. So probably from Vijender's interview. Yeah, he did mention that you should be thinking in the language that you want to speak in, and that's absolutely correct. It helps you in framing better sentences, coming up with vocabulary, and also figuring out that these are the words that are missing from your word bank. Just like you mentioned, you were not able to come up with the words in certain cases. You had to stress a lot. So that can also help you in enriching your vocabulary, because once you're preparing for the test, you know that these are the words that I know in my mother tongue, but I don't know in the English language. So you can look up for those words, and you can obviously seek help from the trainers, who would definitely suggest a word for you and then guide you. So that's a good strategy again. So thank you so much, Sanya. It was lovely having you here, and all the very best for your future. In case if you need any help with your filing process, you know where to go to, and we'll be more than happy to help you out.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.